Hello everybody, we are back once again for another edition of the Pontiac Prep Preview. I'm Joe Deacon, and again, Randy Kindred is with me.
Joseph.
Randy, how are you today?
Doing great.
Well, this is it. It's week 9, regular season's wrapping up.
Yeah, you blink and the season's gone. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, if I'm looking at it right, we've got 7 teams that are already in the playoffs for sure, and another, it looks like 8 or so more with a shot this weekend, so we'll take a look as the season goes on. We've got Normal Community we're going to talk about first. They're looking to wrap up an undefeated season here. They're going to be at Champaign Central.
Yeah, and Champaign Central aged 2 and 6 so far. They've had kind of a rough season, and so I fully expect the Ironmen to take care of business. And they've been on a mission all season, and it seems like so far nothing's been able to derail that. So I don't think this will be any different.
They're still ranked 4th, I believe, right, in Class 7A. So they're going to be wanting to make sure they get a high seed and make sure no one gets hurt this weekend. Sure.
Yeah, that's part of it, and you want to close out like you said, an undefeated season, and anything like that will help your like a seed, and then what playoff teams you meet early on in the playoffs, and so there's a ton to play for, not just wrapping up the Big 12 conference title and an undefeated season, but what can they set themselves up for their postseason run.
You mentioned the Big 12 conference title. Another team looking at the possibility of a conference title is Central Catholic there in the new Illini Prairie Conference. They've got a tough one with Tolono Unity. It's winner take all kind of.
Yeah, it is. Tolono Unity defeated Monticello. Monticello defeated Central Catholic. So if the Saints could get this one, they're right. They put them in position to have a share of that title, and they. That would be a pretty good back-to-back feather in their cap after winning the last Corn Belt Conference title last year. If they can get this one, it would be pretty good stuff. But it'll be a tall task because I think Tolono was very good. Yeah,
it's a tough team coming into Bill Hunman Field. That's Jim Benson was just telling me earlier that Tolono lost their starting quarterback 2 weeks ago, and their backup quarterback threw for over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns last week. Yeah, so they've got a pretty strong attack.
That's nice depth to have, obviously.
Again, one of our teams that we've been most impressed with this year has been University High, coming in 4-4 now. They're going to wrap up their first season in the Central State 8 with a shot at making the playoffs. They do have a tough task, but Chatham Glenwood coming to town.
Yeah, they do. Chatham's 6-2, and they've played everybody tough. That's a tough league with Sacred Heart Griffin and Rochester and Decatur MacArthur and everything. So for Glenwood to be 6-2 at this point tells you they're an awfully good team. But this is the game U-High's kind of been pointing for ever since they were 1-4. They were trying to get into this position, and you got to commend them for doing that. And now they'll take their best shot. Yeah,
that would be. I mean, even as it is, it's quite a feather in the cap of the Pioneers this year. But this would be quite an accomplishment if they can get in.
Yeah, it would be. And last week they kept rolling. I think Doug Holmes 4 touchdown passes and continues to lead the area in passing and yardage, and they've made some big plays on defense. They've been offensively. They've been able to really get some things going with that passing game, and so you got to like their chances the way they've been playing to really make this an interesting game.
The other inner city team also at 4-4, looking in a must-win situation, is Bloomington, and they're going to go to Danville. It's going to be a tough challenge for the Purple Raiders.
Yeah, it will be. Danville's 6-2, and they've shown that they're a pretty quality team too. But Bloomington has been very intent on getting to the playoffs this year. After last year, they went 5-4, but didn't quite have enough playoff points. And if they can get this win, I think they're going to get in if they can just find a way to win this game. And a lot will probably depend on. I know Griffin Moore at quarterback has had a couple of starts now under his belt after Colton Sanders got hurt, so if he can have a big game, I think they could pull it off.
Yeah, I think I've got Bloomington at 36 points right now, so if they can win this game, get the 4-4, they'd be looking in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I think they would be in for sure.
So Normal West is going to play their game on Saturday this week. West is hosting a soccer regional tomorrow night, so there's moving the football game to Saturday. They're playing at Peoria Notre Dame, an afternoon game. West is already in the playoffs at 7-1, looking to finish out a nice run in the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, and I think Notre Dame is 5-3, maybe something like that. And they're probably going to be in the playoffs no matter what. But I'm sure they would like to get that 6th win and help their seeding a little bit come playoff time. But yeah, West has been looking very good. They lost Genesis Forest, but they've got other guys that have stepped up last week, and So I think it'll be. I would be surprised if they don't finish out the regular season with a strong showing on Saturday.
We've talked about all year how many weapons that West has on offense, and that's no real drop off from what they did last year. What's really improved with West this year has been their defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, that in the preseason when I talked to Darren Hess, he said that's the thing. If they could just shore that up even just a little bit, that there were so many games last year where they. If they could have got stops on 1 or 2 possessions, it would have made all the difference in the world. Well, this year they've been getting those stops when they need them.
Well, we've got one other team in the area that's looking to wrap up an unbeaten season. You got to like what GCMS has done all year. They're let's see, who do they got this week? Hayward. That's right. So looking to go 9-0 for the Falcons. Quite a run.
Yeah, and they've been just dominant the whole season. Probably the most dominant team in the area for the level that they're at. And this should be another game. I really think they'll probably take care of business and might be a running clock type game again. And they've had so many of those that come playoff time, a lot of their guys will be anxious to get to play a whole game because there's been so many times they've been up by 40 at halftime and not got to play much the second half. So I'm very impressed with them, and I think they could make a real deep playoff run.
Yeah, this game is pretty much, like we said with Normal, a chance to secure a very high seed in the playoff area.
Yeah.
Looking on, we got the game that was kind of pointed out to me at the beginning of the season that could be a big showdown. It's kind of fizzled out a little bit, but Tri-Valley's looking to go 8-1. They've got a DMACC team that's at 5-3 right now and kind of needs this win. Yeah,
DMACC is, and it's tough to. You had such a great season last year, and they lost a lot of people, but still everybody was expecting him to be just what they were last year, and they've lost two 1-point games, I think.
Another one that was fairly close to
yeah, so they've lost some tough games. I think they're still a pretty quality team, but boy, you got to tip your cap to Tri-Valley. They just do it every year. I mean, here they are. They're probably going to, if they win this game, they will win their division in the conference, and like you said, they could be 8-1 going into the playoffs, and they've put together quite a program there under Josh Roop, and I expect them to make a pretty good playoff run themselves.
You mentioned that Heart of Illinois large division. You've got the 2 other teams right behind them, and Eureka and Fieldcrest are both already in at 6-2. Eureka is going to host El Paso Gridley this week, and Fieldcrest is they're at Ridgeview, Lexington. Yeah. So good runs for them. And go back on the small division side. How about Fisher Bunnies this year?
Yeah,
they're at 5-3 right now, and they're going to be home against Leroy with a chance to secure that 6th win and guarantee.
Yeah, and that's over the years, that's been a pretty good rivalry, Fisher and Leroy, and so I think they'll be up for that game anyway. But the chance to absolutely secure a playoff berth, and I don't know how many people really anticipated that coming into the season because they'd had a couple of rough years. So you got to hand it to them. They believed, and they've had good play out of their quarterback, Cade Thomas, and Jaden Jones-Watkins he's had a great year running the ball and catching passes and doing a little bit of everything. So they've got it done, and more power to them. Hopefully they can make a little run themselves in the playoffs.
Indeed, we already talked a little bit about the Illini Prairie Conference and the 3 teams at the top of it, but our other 3 other area teams in that league are right there on the fence too. Pontiac's at 5-3 and Prairie Central's at 4-4. Prairie Central visits St. Thomas More, Pontiac at Rantoul, both now with a shot to get in.
Yeah, and I like both of their chances to win those games, and that would be really good for both of them. Prairie Central, 2 of their losses to Monticello and to Tolono Unity, they gave those teams everything they want, they could handle, and barely lost. So that's a pretty good indication that they can play some solid football. And Pontiac, behind Austin Norman, has developed a pretty good running attack, and got Buck Cass in there. I'd like to see them get in, and because he's part of that great tradition that Pontiac has, and I'm sure he'd like to build it back up to where it was when he played.
We've got one other team to mention real quick with a chance to sneak in the playoffs currently at 4-4 is Streeter up north. They're going to visit Lyle with a chance for Brian Hassett's team to sneak in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, and what a big step that would be for them, because they really fell on hard times for quite a few years there, and Brian took over I think last year, and they won 2 or 3 games, and to get them in this position, he's done a great coaching job, and that would be great for that program, because it's been a while since they've been in the playoffs.
Indeed. Well, that's going to do it for another show. As always, we will have all the coverage going on live on Pantagraph.com through the night on Friday, and our stories will be there after the games are over. Pick up a Saturday morning section for all the coverage of Friday night's games. And as well, this week, for Saturday night, the playoff pairings will come out, so stay with us as we get all that stuff posted on Pantagraph.com. Thanks for watching.